What's up guys, it's me Pratima. Hope you're doing well. So today's video is going to be all about wireless earbuds. My team and I have been testing a bunch of affordable budget wireless earbuds all under 5,000 rupees to help you figure out exactly which one's right for you. Okay, so let's kick things off with Xiaomi's new Redmi Buds 5. It's one of the cheapest pairs of earbuds in our list, and this thing does offer decent value for money. From a nice comfortable design to active noise cancellation and even dual connection support, the Redmi Buds 5 practically has all the features you could want from something that costs this little. And when I first listened to it, I was honestly impressed to hear how Xiaomi has not just ramped up the bass like most other cheap wireless earbuds do. But as I put in more and more hours with the Redmi Buds 5, I noticed how narrow its soundstage is. On top of this, the clarity and timbre of vocals and trebles also comes off a little weird, almost unnatural at high volumes here. This isn't much of an issue with acoustic and similar genres of songs, although listening to something like Led Zeppelin's When the Levee Breaks, it simply fails to reproduce the contrast between the kick drum and the hi-hats that well. I'm not a big fan of its relatively weak bass response either, but turns out switching to the enhanced bass mode is enough to shut down my beef. I still think a way to create a custom equalizer would have been a more elegant solution, but I kind of can let that slide on the Redmi Buds 5.
But what I can't look past though is its call quality, which sounds way too sharp even when I am in a relatively quiet environment like this one.
So if you want a pair of wireless earbuds with better microphones and punchier bass, then the more expensive Oneplus Buds Z2 could be the better fit for your ears instead. Unlike the Redmi Buds 5, OnePlus has gone with a more mainstream sound signature with a significant bump in terms of low and high frequencies here, which means hip-hop, electronic, pop, and those kinds of tracks sound much more energetic on the Oneplus Buds Z2. The one thing I'd like to suggest is that you keep the volume level to around 70% only, since the Buds Z2's audio will dissolve to bloaty and sibilant if you keep cranking up the volume slider. And of course, that V-shaped tuning does not preserve the details in the mid-range section all that well. I wouldn't call it a big deal though, since I can easily switch between different built-in audio presets or even create my own if I want. Other than this, I am more than happy with its active noise cancellation as well. But the only thing that's been kind of bugging me is how the Buds Z2 is selling at its launch price even to this day. I mean, come on, OnePlus. Alright, that brings me to the JBL Tune 230NC, and unlike the Buds Z2, this thing has indeed seen a price drop since its launch. You can currently get it for some 3,500 rupees in India, which I feel is a fairly reasonable asking price for everything that it offers. But getting into its audio quality itself, I've got to admit the way JBL has tuned the 230NC is kind of weird. Just look at the sound signature of all the built-in presets and you will see what I mean. The default jazz EQ compromises the vocals way too much. The vocal EQ gives up the bass, and the treble region, it's truly bizarre. JBL does let me make a custom equalizer, so I hushed the low frequencies a little and adjusted the mids and the highs to the way I like them. There's still a definite oomph from the bass, but the Tune 230NC sounds a lot better now. It manages a decent sense of depth and space for the vocals and instruments, whereas I kind of dig its soundstage too. JBL also gets a big thumbs up from me in the battery life and ANC department, while you also get something called Talk Through feature, which is similar to conversation awareness on Apple's AirPods Pro, where the earbuds will automatically lower the volume of whatever's playing so that you can hear yourself and those around you better.
The JBL Tune 230NC's call quality isn't half bad either. Its noise cancellation does come off a bit strict in noisy conditions, but it's far from the worst I've seen on a pair of budget earbuds.
Like the Sony WF C500 for example, which struggles to make you sound loud and clear in case you're somewhere rowdy. And even though this is the most expensive pair of earbuds on my list, it does not have active noise cancellation. Yes, but let me give it to you straight, the WF C500 is among the most impressive earbuds I have here when it comes to audio quality and audio quality alone. From the smooth airy trebles to well-resolved mid-range, a wider soundstage, there's clearly a lot to love about the way it sounds. Its 5.8mm drivers don't produce the most punchy bass I've heard from budget earbuds, but that's something a different equalizer can fix rather easily. I love the physical buttons on the Sony C500 as well, which means unlike most other earbuds that have touch controls, there's zero chance of accidental touch here. Okay, next up is the Jabra Elite 3, which is similar to Sony's WF C500 in a lot of ways actually. It has a sleek design with physical controls, there's no active noise cancellation,
And its microphones don't do a very convincing job of cutting out the background noise during phone calls when you're in a loud outdoor setting either.
But just like the Sony C500, the Elite 3 impresses big time with its audio. So much so that if you're on a tight budget and want the absolute best sound for the price, this is the one I would recommend hands down. Jabra has taken a thing or two out of Sony's book to deliver great sound, and if I had to describe its audio in one word, I'd say it sounds easy. Something that does not try to overcomplicate things and fumble along the way. Just easy. In Louis Vuitton's From the Start, for instance, I love how Elite 3 preserves the tonality of her voice so well throughout different stages of the song, alongside the gentle piano hits, drum percussions, and the warm bass from the cello in the background. Bass heads might find it lacking in the low frequency region, especially when listening to a bunch of rap songs, but that's about it. Anyway, if active noise cancellation is something you want, then you can look into the slightly more expensive Jabra Elite 4 instead. It frequently goes on sale at around 5,000 rupees, and besides ANC, the Elite 4 also supports multi-point connection. Okay, now let's take a closer look at the new Oneplus Buds 3. So, you know how both the Sony WF C500 and the Jabra Elite 3 keep things nice and simple? Well, the Oneplus Buds 3 goes in the exact opposite direction for better or worse. It uses a dual driver setup, a 10mm woofer for tighter bass, and a 6mm tweeter for clearer trebles. There's also support for high-res LHDC codec, spatial audio, and a bunch of other fancy features that you may or may not care about. And for what it's worth, the Buds 3 definitely leaves an impact in your ears. It sounds energetic, impactful, and also kind of full body thanks to that audible boost in the bass and treble region. Obviously, this kind of tuning works for most genres of music, but there are some obvious drawbacks to it as well, which mostly has to do with the presence of vocals and the whole mid-range section. For example, in one of my favorite Linkin Park tracks, Leave Out All the Rest, the power, the drive of Chester's voice sounds a little weaker than I remember on the Oneplus Buds 3, especially during the chorus when there's a lot going on. This thing also tends to over-define percussive beats a little, but once again, there is a custom equalizer to the rescue. The Buds 3's noise cancellation works exactly how you'd expect, getting rid of the rumbles and other low frequencies, whereas I found its call quality to be decent enough too.
It does tend to sound muffled in challenging conditions, even though I would not call it a deal breaker or anything.
Okay, next up is the OPPO Enco Air 3 Pro, which is another fantastic option for you to consider. It does not have separate sets of drivers or stuff like that, but this guy flaunts some of the most faithful mids and treble reproduction that you can find on a pair of wireless earbuds. OPPO says it has used an industry's first bamboo fiber diaphragm for detailed highs with the least amount of distortion, and that seriously shows. All this is complemented by a wide soundstage and great instrument separation for an excellent listening experience. The Air 3 Pro's LDAC support is another major plus if your music library consists of a ton of high-res files, or if your music streaming service supports lossless audio.
These Enco Air 3 Pro are also right up there when it comes to microphone quality as well as noise cancellation.
But obviously, the Enco Air 3 Pro is not perfect, and if you're someone who likes listening to music at high volumes, you'll definitely notice a couple of its shortcomings. Like how sibilant sounds like sir, and ch can come off a bit too shouty, or how it lacks the thumpy bass you might be expecting. That last one is something I can easily solve by switching to the bass boost mode, but I can't just figure out why OPPO still does not let me tune these earbuds exactly the way I like. And this is why the Realme Buds Air 5 Pro takes the top spot on my list of the best budget earbuds for its sheer versatility. I can create my own equalizer with these earbuds.
It's got excellent sound quality, excellent noise cancellation, and great microphones, and practically all the fancy features of the OPPO Enco Air 3 Pro.
I actually made a separate video comparing these two a few months ago, and coming back to it after all this time, I am super impressed to see how the Buds Air 5 Pro has improved in the audio department, particularly in the mid-range and treble section, because before I was mostly wowed with its tight punchy bass only, whereas after a bunch of updates, it seems like Realme has really figured out how to make the most out of the dual driver setup on this thing. It sounds much more open now, it preserves the finer details better, and it's just significantly more pleasant to listen to. So no matter what genre of music pops up when I put my playlist in shuffle, I can be rest assured that it's going to sound incredible on the Buds Air 5 Pro. There are still some kinks to iron out, like the clarity of vocals in songs with a lot of instruments, but honestly I am just nitpicking at this point. And this combo of terrific sound quality and everything else really makes the Realme Buds Air 5 Pro such a powerhouse, especially considering how it's more affordable than both the OPPO Enco Air 3 Pro and the Oneplus Buds 3 as well. So guys, that was all for my top picks for the best budget earbuds under 5,000 rupees in India right now. Which one would you go for? Let me know in the comments below. Till then, I'm Pratima and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.